If you have a WooCommerce shop, you always want to display your products on your homepage or any other page for that matter, and doing so in a product layout is very important. I've got a great one here on this website that I'm using, but I really jazzed it up a little bit by putting it inside a carousel. And this is WooProduct Carousel element from ElementsKit, which is an add-on for Elementor. Let's have a look at how you set this up. And this is a really no-nonsense widget, very easy to set up and give you a little bit of movement on your page. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and a good wherever you are. Websites for beginners. I am JB, and this is ElementsKit for Elementor. And we're looking at the widget, the element called WooProduct Carousel. I mentioned this is a no-nonsense element, and what I mean by that, you're not going to get a lot of functionality in terms of do this and it looks like this and all that. You're going to get it straight out of the box, and it works pretty well as is, with a few things that you can change, like horizontal and vertical. You can visit ElementsKit, follow the link in the description below, and you will see when you go to the elements, wow, so many, Bobby. Yes, Bobby, and we're looking at this one over here, WooProduct Carousel. And if you go to their pages at ElementsKit, you will see that all of these pages have a few examples of how these carousels work. This one has got navigation, and you can move it around, no autoplay. And this one gives you the navigation dots at the bottom. And then another one over here with both navigation and dots. One of the things I notice here, which is every time when you look at a good shop, like the one I'm going to show you, is the consistency in images. You see same color scheme here. It looks good just the way it is because you already are using good images, and the layout just suits it perfectly. And then you have one here that's got a border around it, giving that card-like look. And that's basically it. You're going to do a lot of styling so that it can fit with your website. But what the carousel is going to do is give you that control to move it along or use the navigation arrows or dots at the bottom. I think the idea is autoplay. The WooCommerce elements are not turned on by default. So when you go to WordPress and you've installed ElementsKit, go to the sidebar on the left and select ElementsKit. Then you go to widgets and you scroll down and you will find a section here for WooCommerce. I've turned all of these guys on. And once you've done that, you just select Save Changes, and now it will appear in the sidebar for the Elementor widgets. Jump back into Elementor, and here we are at our page, and this is the section that I've set up. And if you're wondering, this is an awesome demo website that I'm using from Blocksy Theme, from Creative Themes, and this one is called Blocksy Theme. Really awesome theme that you should try out. Check out the link in the description below. Great starter site. So if you want to ever set up a WooCommerce site, there are a number to choose from, working with Elementor or Gutenberg. And it just works, like I said, out of the box. I love this kind of style. Just make sure you, of course, know how to use WordPress, Gutenberg, and Elementor if you choose a starter site, so you know where to make these changes. But I like this design, and I want to keep it minimalist. I don't want to bring in too many distractions. I want to keep it like this. Just bring in a carousel that can move along. If you go to the Elements pane on the left, where all the widgets are, the thing with Elementor is you always have to scroll and look and look and look to find these things, and you will find ElementsKit here at the bottom, and the WooCommerce widgets will appear last here. The thing is that you will need to learn as to search for them. So I will just type in the WooCommerce WooC, and then I already have a few, and you can see there is a label in the top right corner, and I'm looking for WooProduct Carousel. There we go. And I'll drag it onto the page. And you'll see the moment it drops in, it's already going to give me something that really looks cool. And this is going to autoplay by default. So let's quickly talk about the filter first. That's also the first option. You have a product limit here that you can set. And then you have categories or show by products. And that's up to you which products you want to include there. And you can see this is going to be where you can select those specific products that you want to include. So if you just want to start with this one and then add another one, and you build it out this way. And because you had set it to a product limit of 8, you should at least choose 8 different products. That's the best way it's going to go. Let's go back to categories. This is a very common one, and you see it includes all of them by default that you already have there. You can deselect or remove this one, uncategorized, It depends. Maybe you have an uncategorized one for those items that you don't know how to categorize them. Or you can remove them all. Again, you get this very convenient drop-down list of the categories you do have. I appreciate that. Many add-ons don't give you this. You have to go search for it and type it in. That's okay, but this is nice. It automatically detects everything, and you can select from here what you want there to appear. Just remember, if you choose a category that's less than your product limit, it's going to repeat it. So at least make sure that these two are talking to each other by setting them up properly. Then you have your normal orders by date, by title, or if you want to put in category and whether it is descending or ascending. Great. So you can create different kinds of carousels, and then we move over to layout. Now, the first one you're going to notice is that we have vertical, which is currently, but you also have horizontal. Let's work through the vertical, and then we can come back to the horizontal. The content position is outside, or you can create this cart with an overlay. That's interesting. For this, we will have to apply some padding, so it's not so flush all the way to the margin on the left. The outside thumb is cool, but I do like that inside one as well. Now you have responsive settings. So this is interesting. They've separated them here. How many columns do you want on a desktop? It's set to 4. If we go to tablet, you're going to see that it is set to 3. And if we go to mobile, well, it's set to 1. So let's just scroll down here. Only 1 for mobile. Let's put mobile on 2. And this is always going to be a little bit cramped. This is where carousels and galleries always become an issue. If you are using autoplay, it is better maybe to have at least 2 appear. Otherwise, people may not know that it's autoplay or that it is a carousel, and they may keep on scrolling, and then they will miss all the other goodies because they only saw one product. That's my only tip. You always have to consider this for mobile. People scroll quick, and that includes me. I just go flick, flick, flick with my thumb. And if I don't see that animation of the carousel happening, I may just miss out on that. Column gap, and that is the white space, the negative space between the columns. We can increase that. That's now to 50. Let's reduce it to 25 so we can see better, right? Those are the changes. And then we have the image resolution, which you can set here to the size that you want. Open the thumb in a pop-up. That's a nice choice for you. Let's activate that. And let's go have a look at how that will translate on the front end. Go to where our carousel is and open in pop-up. And that is this little dot that appears here at the top. So if I click on the dot, it will open the thumb. Yeah, I don't think we'll use that one, right, Cheryl? Cheryl says no. So we will deactivate open thumb in pop-up. Then you have the other options that you can make appear. If you want your categories to be included here, then you can do that as well. And then you can deactivate, let's say you don't want the rating there, the price you want there, and the add to cart is this hover button that appears over the image. And that is what you do with the layout. Of course, you have styling in terms of colors and text and all of that. Everything is customizable under styling. Going back to content, we just looked at the layout, and now we're going to have a look at horizontal. Horizontal doesn't mean the carousel is horizontal. It is the layout of the content within the carousel that is horizontal. And you can have the content, which is your categories and all of that on the right, or you can have it on the left. And there you go. So that's your options. You can see same options that appear here. I think the vertical works well for me, but that horizontal is not bad as a ticker. So if you wanted to include it, let's just go back to horizontal. What we can do here is you start removing things. Even remove the price and you remove the category. And you have this nice little ticker that can be running at the top and increase even the speed. That's it. So vertical, let's put the categories back, and also let's put the price back. Carousel settings gives us the autoplay and the loop. So the autoplay speed is how long it's going to pause before it transitions to the next slide that moves in. It's set to 5,000. That will be milliseconds, which means 5 seconds. And we can count it, but I've looked at it now. Every 5 seconds, it moves one slide. And that brings us to the animation speed, which is 50 milliseconds, which is pretty quick. The loop, if you want it to continue, which is usually a good idea, especially if you are on autoplay. If you want to add navigation so that people can go back, and I think that's usually a very good idea. I've been on a few shops where I saw something, it caught my eye, and then the slider moves. I need to get that back. So either bring in an arrow or a navigation dot or both. And that's it. That's how you bring it in. And the dots at the bottom, we cannot see them. We have to quickly go style them. So let's just go to the dots so we can get the color correct here. And the dots color, let's put it, there we go. So I'll just put it on a green so that it suits my site. Here, there we go. And now I have my dots. I can see them very nicely. One thing though, I've just activated these arrows and I found that when you bring it in by default and you go view it on the front end, something wanky happens. And that is that my navigation for the arrows look like this. I figured out how to fix it. Maybe the guys at ElementsKit can have a look at this. Let's go back to our content, then go to navigation and arrows and dots. Let's go to style instead. And now you go to navigation, which is the arrows. And you see that here, you would assume by default that this arrow is included. For some reason, the arrow does display here, but it doesn't display on the front end. It's actually an open container. So you need to add something. This is the left arrow. I'll go to icon library and I'll just choose here left. You can come back and add that one again later. It will still work. So you see now I've changed the arrow and I'll go to next and I'll say arrow right and I'll change that arrow. And now when I say publish and we go and view it again, you will see that my arrows do appear. Groovy. And now I can cycle through with my arrows as well as use the navigation dots at the bottom to jump around within the carousel. I call this no nonsense, like I said at the beginning, because I think this is good styling already applied. As long as you have good images for your different products, it's going to look really great. This is the WooProduct Carousel element from ElementsKit. Loads of features. As you can see here under styling, you're going to have a lot to play with in terms of the color, the typography. You can create borders around the cart so that it feels a little bit more contained. The style that fits your page. Websites for beginners. Remember to subscribe. And from me, JP, until next time.